Hello, welcome to this update for the severe weather. Some changes we had here, and we'll also discuss some severe weather stuff for Europe as well. So if you're watching from there, stay tuned. But first, let's see here the US. We have like still winter storm warnings in Wyoming, Montana, spots of Colorado, so in the wet advisories, and in Utah as well. We have these red flag warnings, big portion of the plains, and high wind warnings in New Mexico, Texas, and Colorado, even spots of Oklahoma Panhandle and more areas. Some wind advisories, spots of the west, still some river flood warnings that remain from the event in early April. So some blizzard warnings northern Alaska, and be careful in those areas here. We have now an enhanced risk for today's spots of Nebraska and Iowa. So they upgraded it yesterday night or this morning, and we have this light risk around it, spots in Minnesota and Iowa and Nebraska, and the marginal from Nebraska to Wisconsin. We have this tiny marginal in Missouri, central southern Missouri. So here there's 5% tornado threat in Omaha, spots of Iowa and Nebraska, and the 2% as well from north southern Minnesota, a good portion of Iowa into Nebraska. So be careful, the tornado threat, especially in the 5% there. There's the wind, 15 and 5%, this tiny 5% in Missouri, and the 15% there in the enhanced risk. So be careful, that section there will have some stronger storms, and there's the 5% spots of Nebraska and Iowa, Missouri, and into Minnesota and Wisconsin. But the real thing here will be hail. It's basically this whole enhanced risk for 30% hail and hatched, potentially 2 inches plus in diameter hail. So please be careful in those areas, some large hail. There's the 15 and the 5% around it as well. Spots of Wisconsin, Minnesota, much of Iowa, and even Illinois, the 5%. There's this tiny 5% hail in Missouri as well, and in Nebraska, but please be careful in that 30% there. If you are in spots of western Iowa into eastern Nebraska, especially in Omaha and other towns there in Iowa, please be careful in Nebraska. So there's here isolated to scattered severe thunderstorms are expected mainly from late afternoon into early tonight from eastern Nebraska into western central Iowa. Very large hail, up to 3 inches in diameter or greater, isolated severe in gusts, even to 70 mile per gusts, and a couple of tornadoes beyond possible. So please be careful in those areas, stay safe. There's day 2, this enormous light risk goes all the way from Texas to Michigan, and there's this big marginal risk around it. So be careful in those areas. Scattered severe thunderstorms are possible from the parts of the Great Lakes to the southern Great Plains, and mainly during the late afternoon into Friday night. Large hail and isolated severe gusts that will be the main hazards of this activity. So please be careful. There's 15.5% hail, and there's a hatched area in Texas and Oklahoma for some larger hail. So be careful. Wind is just 15.5%, and there's the tornado just 2% in those areas tomorrow, but this might update too. So be careful in those areas. Saturday we still have this light risk and this marginal. The slight risk from Texas to Missouri, and the marginal from Texas all the way to Pennsylvania. So be careful in those areas, and keep in mind that northern parts of Mexico might get some severe storms because that slight risk might extend into Mexico, as you can see there. So if you are there, be aware as well. But here they say isolated scared severe thunderstorms are possible from parts of Texas into the Ohio Valley on Saturday. So be careful in those areas Saturday, the 15.5% probabilistic. So here for Sunday, we still have this 15% Sunday spots of Arkansas, Texas, Missouri, southern Illinois, and western portions of Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky, and much of northern Louisiana. So be careful, even to Oklahoma some. And day 5, still nothing. Day 6 and 7, day 8, nothing. So please be careful. Those areas are compact, upper shortwave troughs forecast to move from the southern high plains to the Midwest on Sunday, while some forecasts uncertain continues. The regard the exact position of this feature, the overall pattern suggests isolated, scarce severe thunderstorm potential exists parts of East Texas to the mid-lower Mississippi Valley. So be careful with a strong southwesterly flow aloft to overspread the moist warm sector as surface low drifts northeast from Oklahoma to lower Missouri. As this occurs, while the warm sector right here, lower Missouri Valley, and through early evening, trailing cold front will spread east as this occurs while warm front extends eastward from mid-Mississippi Valley into the Ohio Valley. Evolution of prior days, convection of severe resulting in some uncertainty regarding the western northern extent of severe potential. Nevertheless, favorable environment supporting at least isolated severe storms should extend from East Texas into parts of southern Missouri, Illinois ahead of the cold front. So be careful in those areas. Stay safe, especially today and tomorrow. I feel like will be the biggest days, but in all those days will be dangerous. So be careful in those areas. Another thing you should be very much careful is this extreme fire danger spot on New Mexico. Also, maybe touching Texas as well, and the critical fire threat spots of southeastern Arizona, and all the way to Kansas, spots of Colorado into Texas and Oklahoma. So please be careful in those areas. Don't burn anything. Be careful with active fires in case of any active fires, and stay safe. Please be careful. The general consensus is some high wind gusts with very low relative humidity will provide some good conditions for fires to spread very rapidly. So please be careful in those areas. And this also counts for northern Mexico, in those areas if you are there. Now for tomorrow, Friday, shows still a critical and elevated in the southwest. So stay safe in those areas there. And here we still have the Rockies that snow, more areas of moderate to major winter storms severity index, and even some extreme the mountains in Wyoming. So stay safe. Those higher peaks might be heavy. It will be heavy. The snow in some spots there. So be careful. As you can see here in the chart, the heavy snow possible in Wyoming, Montana, and the general snow in the white there, and the critical fire in that black, and severe storms there. So be careful. There's day 2, severe storms in the yellow, and flash flooding possible in the red, and some more general storms around it, and still some heavy snow in spots of Colorado, Wyoming, and some other areas, some general snow possible. Day 3, more flash flooding and more severe storms in the yellow there. So be careful. And notice dotted green are general thunderstorms. So be aware. Still, next 7 days, even more rains expected now, close to 5 inches in the next 7 days. So be careful in that part of the country. It will be very, very stormy. So day 1 shows more in the Rockies and in the Midwest. Day 2, especially in the plains into Midwest, those storms. Day 3 shows even more in Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, in Arkansas. Day 4 kind of spread out. Day 5 goes further east. Day 6 starts getting active again in the southern plains. Day 7 some more storms there. So please be careful that rain, and this will cause this excessive rainfall threat. Today it's kind of fine, just a marginal in Minnesota into Wisconsin. But be aware, they choose as light in Missouri, Oklahoma, in Kansas, and northwestern Arkansas, and the marginal from Texas to Illinois. So be careful Friday, but Saturday is a moderate risk already for excessive rainfall. Oklahoma to Illinois, and the slight from Texas to Indiana, and the marginal from Texas to Ohio. So please be careful in those areas with flash flooding, especially tomorrow and Saturday especially. Day 4 a marginal, kind of the Midwest and the plains. Day 5 nothing. Still, so stay safe in those areas. They have some more information here if you want to stay tuned. This link's in the description. So be careful those areas. The her for this afternoon here for the tornado potential and the storms, it does have like, that's Friday, so let's see today. Here it does show later in the evening the tornado parameters are not that high. Shows some spots of of Iowa, northern Iowa, even Kansas, but most of the storms be in Iowa. There later in the evening shows more in Iowa, some parameters there, but the herd's not very excited about tornadoes today. But it's like by 2Z in the evening, it does show some high parameters southwestern Iowa, in that 5% there. So be careful in Nebraska, near eastern Nebraska. So be careful, but nothing that crazy. But there is a 5% there, so stay aware, be aware. The Cape this evening shows like 1,500 joules per kilogram in Iowa, further south in Kansas, close to 2,000. But overall, the Cape is not that high. But there is some fuel for those storms. Show like, especially southern Iowa, be careful. But nothing that extreme. A little bit earlier in the afternoon shows some spots in Iowa and Nebraska close to 2,000 joules per kilogram, but nothing that crazy. So there's the updraft Haliste too. If I put like this one, the full run here for today until Saturday shows like today spots of Nebraska and Iowa shows some tracks there, especially with hail in those storms. Be careful, and severe wind and a couple of tornadoes in those areas. But Friday into Saturday, the HER shows this gigantic track all the way from Oklahoma to Illinois. And this indicates those storms tomorrow in the slight risk. This might most likely have a lot of hail and severe wind, but might have some tornadoes too. So be careful in those areas. Stay safe. There's the her here shows like more precision in those storms. If I just find a better way to show it here, so central west shows that snow in the Rockies and that rain there, and shows like right by the early afternoon a few storms in Minnesota, central Iowa, but the main round of storms will start later, as you can see there, Nebraska already in the evening and late afternoon, some storms there, and as those storms go into western Iowa, might be the strongest ones, with hail and a couple of tornadoes, plus the severe wind. This crosses Iowa, still in the late evening, during the night, some stronger storms, and then goes into Wisconsin there. So stay safe in those areas, be aware, and tomorrow afternoon, kick-starting some spots of the plains and Midwest. So stay safe in those areas, be careful there. Shows here like those storms Saturday, Sunday. This is already Sunday. The GFS is this low pressure, the cold front there. And later, like the beginning of May and everything, the GFS does have still some snow in the Rockies and more storms, but that's too far. There's the European model, shows like those storms here tomorrow, Friday, so especially later in the evening, shows more in the plains and into the Midwest, those storms Friday. So be careful this goes. The Europeans very excited about Sunday. The European shows in Texas, some storms Sunday in Oklahoma. And then this is already Monday. The European still shows some storms there. This goes next week. It's still excited on Wednesday. The European still has storms, and later still has some scared, especially in the Midwest, the 28th, and the rest is kind of far. But yeah, be careful in those areas. And here does show like some some dew points, those areas. So this afternoon, Thursday, does show even close to 60 dew points near spots of Iowa in, into Missouri, but generally in the 50s dew points ahead of that front. But does show, like especially earlier the afternoons, some higher dew points. This goes and by Friday, by Friday evening, shows some more widespread 60 dew points across the mid South, even Oklahoma, Missouri, and some spots of the Midwest as well. So be aware those areas. This goes and Sunday shows like that front coming. The European even has a surface cyclone there, and the dew points ahead of the front in the 60s. So we'll need to watch that as well. So be aware in those areas. But very quick here for Europe, let's just see what's expected tomorrow. So it does show some storms later Friday, tomorrow spots of Eastern Europe and even Southeastern Europe, Hungary later tonight. But these storms Friday afternoon in Poland and northwestern Ukraine might be stronger. Those areas might have some small hail, and this is mainly because of this cape that's a little bit higher there, close to 1,400 joules per kilogram, even to like 1,300, a few spots 1,600 Friday afternoon. Later it declines in the evening, but tomorrow afternoon does show some higher cape, those spots of Poland. So be aware, there's the potential some storms there with some small to moderate hail size, and does show here in the storms map as well. So stay safe in those areas. This is mainly because of this warm air mass, those above average temperatures there, and plus that cape that I showed you. So be careful in those areas. And this cold air mass is about to go into Iberia this weekend with another cold front, and later on April 28th or something, we might need to watch Eastern Europe for some below average temperatures again. So be aware those areas. Now back to North America, the snow here shows like more in eastern Canada, some spots of Labrador, even to 75 centimeters, 47, 29, some other spots of Alberta, Saskatchewan, shows some snow in Saskatchewan, many British Columbia and Alberta, and more in Yukon next 5 days. So northern Nunavut shows some more snow next 5 days as well. So be aware those areas. And here shows like in the US there's in the Rockies in those areas still the European has like 13 inches, 14 inches, 9 inches, it even has some close to the plains there. The GFS is mainly in Colorado, and there's the icon show spots to 13 inches, even to 17 inches, more in Wyoming especially. The icon shows more in Ontario, spots of Quebec, all the way to Newfoundland. So be careful. There's in Wyoming, especially the European here, some more in Idaho, Montana, even central Utah. Some snow 7 inches, 9 inches, spots of 8, 5 inches, 2 inches, 4 inches, and spots of California as well. Some in Arizona, and as well northern New Mexico might have more snow. So beware. Southern Alaska still shows close to 30 inches in the mountains next 5 days. Some more northern Alaska and more spots there in Alaska. So beware in those areas. The GFS even has in Wisconsin and Michigan a little bit. It's the only model that has the Europeans further north in Minnesota. The icons kind of in Wisconsin as well, in Minnesota. So be aware those areas. The GFS does have some in northern Maine and New Brunswick. So be aware that snow there. And back here in Europe, it's still snowing hard in spots of the Alps, but next 5 days in the Pyrenees might have more accumulations because of the front Saturday. So shows like some 40 centimeters, 44. The icons is a little bit less. The GFS is to 35 centimeters, 36 in the Pyrenees. So be aware, some spots northern Spain even to 34 centimeters, 18, 8 centimeters, and even spot or two in Algeria. But in the Alps, it was like very heavy. But in the next 5 days, it will decrease a little bit, but still shows some 23 centimeters, 19 centimeters, 10 centimeters. So be aware those areas. Next 24 hours, the high resolution model has some more in the Alps. So be aware those areas and other spots here. Northern Norway still might have some, and southern Finland and Russia, the European is showing some more. Norway, even south central Norway, northern Iceland still shows some. The GFS does have this one in Finland as well, in Russia, even a finger two in Sweden, and more Norway there and Iceland. So be aware those areas shows here that snow in Norway now. This goes and maybe Saturday and Sunday in there into Finland and Sweden. Maybe still Monday some rain in the Baltics and into Russia. So be aware those areas. The winds here back in North America shows the southwestern US, those higher gusts, and even the GFS has it 59, close to 60 mile per gust. Spots in New Mexico shows in Texas some higher gusts as well. There's the European shows more precise but much stronger, even to 65 mile per gust in New Mexico, shows in Arizona more, even some gusts in Utah and Nevada. Those areas there shows kind of breezier in Oklahoma and Missouri. So be aware those areas, Texas, northern Mexico, vientos fuertes, be careful as well. And Thursday, Friday still shows like spots of New Mexico, some higher gusts, some spots of Texas, as this cold front advances there, and vientos fuertes ao norte de México, casi 100 km por hora, las ráfagas, 80, 90 km por hora. So stay safe. There's Friday, Saturday. The European still has in western Texas and New Mexico by Friday evening. The GFS as well. And then this goes Saturday. There's like spot or two of the northeast. Sunday still has in Texas there some spots in the Pacific, but Sunday, Monday, we might have this big wind maker later Sunday. Spots of Maine, New Hampshire, as more spots there. Sunday, this goes, especially in Maine. The Europeans even to 64 mile per gust, and spots of eastern Quebec and New Brunswick might be even to 100 km per gust, 110 on the European. This goes Nova Scotia, more than 80 km per gust as well, and this goes there some in Newfoundland too. So be aware. There's later Monday spots of the Midwest, Illinois, and Indiana, even to 46 mile per gust, possibly some spots on Michigan. The GFS is kind of breezier there, but nothing crazy. Some higher gusts in southern Ontario too. So be aware. Now, something that's happening here is northern Alaska, those higher gusts, even to 49, 53 mile per gust. That's why we have those blizzard warnings there. But that blizzard will soon transition to northern Nunavut. So that's about Saturday. Shows some higher gust spots in northern, central northern Nunavut, even 25 km per gust. Some spots further north as well. This goes, there's this big Arctic low pressure spinning even northern northwestern territories. Monday still shows some, and this goes away there. But be careful those areas because for snow here, more snow in Alaska now, some spots of Yukon, northwestern territories Friday, Saturday, and then into Nunavut later Saturday. That snow might make some blizzard conditions. So be careful. And also that snow in spots of central Canada, in Manitoba and Ontario, shows some Friday there, into Quebec, Friday and Saturday, still Sunday and Monday into Atlantic Canada. So be careful by Monday. The Europeans this low pressure in the US with those storms, maybe some mixed precipitation in Canada Tuesday again. But we'll keep watching because still the middle of next week still shows lingering snow for northwestern Canada. So you keep watching. There in Europe still shows those storms and rains through spots central to Eastern Europe, but Friday we start getting a lot of rain in Spain and Portugal, especially the Atlantic coast, some more in Ireland, the UK, especially Friday to Saturday, this front in France, spots of Spain with more storms. The European shows more heavy rain northwestern Spain, southern France, and spots of central eastern Spain as well. Sunday still has some storms around the Mediterranean, northern Africa, and Monday still has some stuff in Italy, Tunisia, and Algeria, some spots to Eastern Europe Monday. And Tuesday still has some rain in Spain. By Tuesday, possibly the GFS has some as well, but has a little bit less. Tuesday, Wednesday still has more rain scattered through Central Europe and some snow in the Alps and the Pyrenees. So Tuesday still shows Thursday, the 24th, some rain and storms scattered spots of Europe Thursday and Friday, the 25th. So we'll still keep watching. That's 1 week out, but better to keep watching. The rain accumulation just until the 22nd shows northern Portugal more than 100 millimeters, even to 116 millimeters, and northwestern Spain more there, even to 117. So be careful, as some heavy rain or some floods shows in France more than 77 millimeters, spots of Italy. There's the icons, even central France to 98 millimeters. In Ireland has more than 80 millimeters. The GFS a little bit lighter in Ireland, but the European has slightly more. So be careful those areas. Be careful with thunderstorms as well. So I show those ones in Eastern Europe tomorrow, but Saturday does show a few in Spain and France. Those ones might be stronger if there's more convection in the afternoon, but maybe not anything that crazy, but be careful too. Entonces va a haber este frente sábado, España y Portugal, el viernes mañana y sábado con lluvia bastante fuerte, así en Galicia, y más tormentas viernes y sábado, y quizás aún domingo e algum dia de la semana que viene. E mais chuva forte no norte de Portugal amanhã, sexta-feira e sábado. Mostra mais de 100 milímetros até no norte. Pode ter algum vento mais forte também, mas principalmente essas chuvas. Good, so stay safe. And wind still shows like Friday, maybe some Hargus in northern Spain and in the Atlantic there. And this Hargus might make some more waves around the Atlantic, shows kind of breeze in the UK as well. This goal still shows Hargus northern Spain and Portugal Saturday, possibly into southern France, some Hargus as well. Sunday in the Mediterranean possibly, and more this low pressure spinning the Atlantic there, maybe the Canary Islands and Morocco into next week, kind of breezier. So be aware those areas. One quick thing here, the temperatures back in North America today are very high in the plains, even some 90s spots of the southern plains. Some A is further south. Just checking if there's any ice here. Not really, but be careful. The snow in the Rockies will be heavier there, so stay safe. Those wind gusts, especially, it has even to 60, even close to 70 mile per gusts in a spot or two. So there's here like the snow, not the snow, the low temperatures tomorrow morning, spots of the Rockies. So be careful, some single digits, teens and 20s in those mountains there. There's still for Friday afternoon, warmer in the south and in the west coast, slightly warmer but cold in the Rockies. Saturday morning, still cold, especially Wyoming, close to some negative digits. But stay safe there. In Canada, still very cold in the north. Those areas, central, southeastern Canada, still cold. Like this afternoon, some areas are milder, but still cold. Most of central northern Canada. Then tomorrow afternoon does warm up slightly in the south and spots of the west, but still cold most of central Canada. By Sunday morning, more cold much of Ontario, spots of Manitoba, and to Nunavut, northern Yukon, most of Alaska cold as well, and still in the Rockies in the US. But southeastern Canada, better there. So Saturday, Sunday, Sunday morning slightly colder in the southeast again, there in Canada. But Sunday afternoon warmer, especially central Canada, and Monday morning still shows most areas under those negative temperatures, but nothing that crazy. It might continue like this throughout next week, especially northwestern Canada, more spots down the west. But stay safe, and the US might continue higher spots to the southwest and the southeast, but throughout next week, generally colder in the mountains of the west and kind of chillier in the northeast. So be aware, those areas in Europe still have in the Alps and the Pyrenees some active temperatures, parts of Norway and Iceland, but nothing that crazy. During the afternoon, those above average temperatures in Eastern Europe, even close to 26 degrees in Latvia, Friday afternoon, but Saturday morning still shows northern Finland, Sweden, Norway, some colder temperatures in the Alps as well. So still be aware. And alright, like Saturday to Sunday, those below average temperatures in Spain and southern France again, with some colder temperatures, especially in the mountains, but many spots there. And Sunday afternoon does warm up in a good portion there of Europe, but still uh, below average there on the west, and some spots in the morning, especially in the Alps and everything, in the Pyrenees colder. And in Iceland, still those negative temperatures, and throughout Norway, Sweden, and Finland. So be aware, those are some afternoons in the UK might be slightly warmer, but the mornings still are quite colder, especially in Ireland, but nothing that cold. And yeah, still above average shows slightly in Eastern Europe next week, but longer range might get slightly colder in Eastern Europe, longer range, but we'll keep watching. So be aware, those areas I think I showed you snow already. So stay safe, be careful, especially the severe weather and everything.